I'd like to know the date she's coming. When is she coming?
When is she coming?
When is she coming? By the way, do you know Pam Bondi has not come in front of this committee? Do you know she's the only secretary to not appear in front of a committee yet? When is she coming? What's the date on the calendar that she's coming? You know what? Let's make it easy. I want to make a motion to subpoena Pam Bondi.
Second.
To this committee.
Third, fourth, fifth.
How much are we going to...
The gentleman is not recognized for that motion. However, the chair will advise as to the Attorney General coming for...
The administration tells you their operations are a precise application of the rule of law. They tell you they are only removing dangerous criminals who have no right to be in this country. They tell you that the rights of United States citizens are being protected during their mass deportation efforts. The evidence from the streets of Minneapolis, the hospital rooms of Chicago, and the courtrooms of Louisiana tells a different story. It is a story of citizens being shot while holding cell phones. It is a story of 4-year-old children with cancer being forced onto planes to countries they have never seen. It is a story of a systematic disregard for the United States Constitution. Tonight, we look at the forensic facts. We look at the video the Department of Homeland Security tried to explain away. We look at the specific names and faces of Americans caught in a dragnet that officials claim does not exist. This is the truth about the second Trump administration's enforcement actions. This is claim, evidence, law, and accountability. Here, play this clip.
She's not just an embarrassment to the country. She's an embarrassment to you and the president. Okay, she deserves to be removed from her job by the president, and if not impeached. Not just for her complete failures in Homeland, but her destruction of FEMA. She's not even running the department. You guys know this. You guys know she's not running Homeland. Your governors and you all, when you need your FEMA money, you don't call Noem, you call Corey. You know she's not running the place. She's a complete and utter embarrassment. By the way, every Homeland Secretary has come in front of this committee once a Congress.
Donald Trump and his top authorities have made a series of claims regarding their immigration enforcement that are demonstrably false. They have claimed that their agents act with restraint. They have claimed that no United States citizens are being swept up in their operations. They have claimed that their procedures follow the law and respect the judiciary. Those claims are lies. That is a lie. The administration is lying about the scope of its violence against American citizens. They are lying about the legality of their detention methods. They are lying to the American people about the intentional targeting of citizens based on the color of their skin and the language they speak. We have the forensic evidence to prove it. Here, play this clip.
Now, it's not like you guys have any credibility on de-escalation. I mean, literally, we're not the ones who told tens of thousands of people to show up to the Capitol and run in here like a mob. And now you all tell people it never happened. You know, like, oh, that's not what the deal was. It's not like every day there isn't some sort of tweet that just escalates and escalates and escalates.
The lie is specific and repeated by those in power. Tom Homan, the border czar, confirmed that his agency has made what he calls collateral arrests of many American citizens. He said this while simultaneously claiming that the president has no limitation on his authority to make the country safe. That is a lie. The Department of Homeland Security issued a formal statement titled Fact Check, which claimed that the agency is not deporting American children. This is a documented lie. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, went on national television and disputed that citizen children were being deported. He claimed they were not deported, but simply went with their mothers who were being removed. This is a semantic deception designed to hide the fact that United States citizens are being banished from their own country without any meaningful process. Here, play this clip.
We're into year 2 of this Congress, and we've not had the Attorney General in front of this committee. How much are we going to weaken Article 1 of the Constitution while you guys remain in power? I watch you twist yourself into pretzels trying to defend this, running away from previous statements, disagreeing with yourself, trying to defend the crap that's happening. And so I'll make a motion again to subpoena Pam Bondi in front of this committee.
Secretary Kristi Noem has claimed that her department only takes violent offenders off the streets. That is a lie. Her agents have been recorded detaining citizens who had committed no crimes solely to provide footage for her social media accounts. The forensic evidence of this administration's lawlessness begins with the bodies of American citizens. On January 7, 2026, an ICE agent named Jonathan Ross shot and killed Renee Nicole Macklin Good in Minneapolis. The administration claimed the agent acted in self-defense because Good tried to run him over with her car. That is a lie. Video evidence shows that the agent was not in the path of the vehicle when he fired. The video shows the car was actually turning away from the shooter. This was not an act of self-defense. This was the execution of an American citizen on a public street. On January 24, 2026, Alex Jeffrey Preddy was killed by Customs and Border Protection agents in Minneapolis. Here, play this clip.
This is the person who, within minutes of the shooting, went on TV and called it domestic terrorism. What is she, hiding her face like her ICE agents now? She can't show her face either? By the way, is this what the $800 billion went to? Every day we see her after there's some new tragedy in Homeland, she's wearing a different outfit with a different hat. I mean, come on, guys, she looks ridiculous.
Preddy was a 37-year-old intensive care nurse for the Department of Veterans Affairs. The administration claimed he was an armed gunman. That is a lie. Video evidence verified by major international news outlets proves that Preddy was holding a cell phone, not a gun. He was pepper sprayed and tackled by 6 agents before being shot at least 10 times. Agents continued to fire into his body even after he lay motionless on the ground. The evidence of illegal deportations of children is equally undeniable. On April 25, 2025, a 2-year-old American citizen identified as VML was deported to Honduras. She was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Her father, a United States resident, attempted to claim custody of his daughter. ICE agents refused to allow him to pick her up. They threatened him with arrest and deportation if he tried. Agents forced the mother to sign a paper saying she chose to take the child by threatening that the child would otherwise be sent to a foster home. They did this while a court was considering a restraining order to stop the removal. On that same day, a 4-year-old boy named Romeo was deported to Honduras. Romeo is an American citizen. Romeo has stage 4 cancer. He was wearing his school uniform when he was detained at an ICE check-in. ICE agents knew about his cancer diagnosis and his need for treatment. They refused to allow him to access his cancer medication while he was in detention. They did not allow him to bring his medication with him when they forced him onto the plane. These are not clerical errors. These are deliberate acts of state-sponsored kidnapping. The evidence shows that by October 2025, at least 170 American citizens were confirmed to have been detained by immigration agents. Many were held for days without access to a lawyer or a phone call to their families. Rodrigo Almendarez, a natural-born citizen from California, was handcuffed and detained at his job. Agents did not identify themselves before grabbing him. They only released him after a coworker challenged them. In New Jersey, a military veteran from Puerto Rico was arrested by ICE during a raid on a seafood warehouse. He is a citizen by birth. Agents targeted him because he looked Hispanic, while they ignored every white employee in the building. The forensic record includes the detention of Dulce Consuelo Diaz Morales. She was held for 25 days by ICE in Baltimore. Her lawyers provided a birth certificate proving she was born in Laurel, Maryland. The administration claimed her birth certificate was a forgery. She was only released after 25 days of illegal captivity and was forced to wear an ankle monitor upon her release. In Chicago, a 23-year-old citizen named Ernesto Diaz was handcuffed and threatened with a taser by masked agents. They threw his wallet on the ground and left him after checking his identification. He believes he was targeted because he is dark-skinned. Another citizen, Aliyah Rahman, was driving to a doctor's appointment when agents smashed her car window and dragged her out. She lost consciousness in custody after being denied medical treatment. The evidence extends to the detention of disabled Americans. On August 11, 2025, Border Patrol agents held a 15-year-old American citizen with significant disabilities at gunpoint in Los Angeles. The administration falsely claimed the teen was a gang member from El Salvador. In Illinois, Julio Noriega, a citizen with a learning disability, was grabbed from behind and detained for 10 hours without food, water, or a bathroom. He was released in the middle of the night and left on the street with no way to get home. These are the facts that the administration's fact-check statements cannot erase. The analysis of power and control reveals a strategy of intentional intimidation. Stephen Miller, the Homeland Security Advisor, ordered security forces to arrest at least 3,000 people per day. He instructed agents to stop using target lists and instead go out on the street to grab people at Home Depots and 7-Elevens. This directive created a threefold increase in the targeting of Hispanic Americans. This is not about law enforcement. This is about meeting a political quota through systematic racial profiling. The administration is also using physical appearance as a tool of psychological control. Donald Trump has a long documented obsession with a central casting look for his subordinates. This aesthetic, often called the Mar-a-Lago face, serves as an unofficial badge of power in Washington. It signals physical submission to the leader. Professor Ann Higgins argues this aesthetic suggests that the surface of a policy is the only thing that matters. Kristi Noem was reportedly chosen for her position at Homeland Security because the president wanted her face in television advertisements. She uses this image to project a brand of aggressive and blunt politics. She appeared in different outfits and hats after tragedies, looking ridiculous while her department failed to follow basic constitutional protocols. She was personally present at the detention of Joe Botello, an innocent American citizen, so she could post the footage on social media to claim she was taking violent offenders off the streets. The claim by Tom Homan that there is no limitation on Trump's authority is the ultimate expression of this power dynamic. It is a rejection of the system of checks and balances that the American founders drew from the Roman Republic to prevent tyranny. The administration is testing how much they can weaken Article 1 of the Constitution while they remain in power. They are using emergency powers for non-emergencies to create civil unrest, which critics call a form of psychological warfare against the American populace. The strongest defense argument the administration offers is that they are acting in the best interest of families. They claim that when they deport an undocumented mother, it is better for the citizen child to go with her to keep the family together. They call these children anchor babies and claim that having a citizen child is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Marco Rubio argued that these children were not actually deported because, as citizens, they can return to the United States if their families find someone else to care for them. This argument is dismantled by the law and the specific forensic facts. The deportation of a United States citizen is illegal and unconstitutional. There is no legal provision that allows for the removal or banishment of a citizen based on the status of their parent. Furthermore, the evidence proves the administration actively blocked families from making alternative arrangements. In the case of 2-year-old VML, the father was a resident who wanted to take the child, but agents threatened him with deportation if he tried. Agents told the mother the child would be sent to a foster home if she did not agree to take her. This is not keeping families together. This is state-sponsored coercion and kidnapping. Judge Terry Doughty, a Trump-nominated conservative, stated he had a strong suspicion the government deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process. He called these actions illegal and unconstitutional. The law on these matters is clear. The Immigration Act of 1990 is the governing statute. It is illegal for federal officials to question or interrogate anyone about their right to be in the country unless they have a judicial warrant or reasonable cause to believe the person is an alien. An administrative warrant is not a judicial warrant. Most of the raids being conducted by ICE are done without judicial warrants, which makes the interrogation of citizens in their homes and workplaces illegal. The 14th Amendment to the Constitution establishes that all persons born in the United States are citizens. Citizens have an absolute legal right to remain in the United States. They cannot be banished or removed without due process. The 8th Amendment prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. Sending American prisoners to foreign jails, such as the Terrorism Confinement Center in El Salvador, would be a flagrant violation of this amendment. The First Step Act also requires that prisoners serve their time in facilities close to their primary residence. The president does not have the authority to outsource the American prison system or to strip citizenship away from natural-born citizens. The professional judgment on the responsibility and fitness of these officials is devastating. Kristi Noem has been described as a complete and utter embarrassment to the country. She has been accused of failing in her duties at Homeland Security and destroying FEMA. She reportedly does not even run her own department, with governors calling her subordinates when they actually need help. Her history of shooting a puppy because she hated its temperament raises fundamental questions about her human decency and judgment. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has entered her second year without appearing before the Judiciary Committee. She is the only secretary to fail to appear for oversight. This is a deliberate avoidance of accountability. When top officials refuse to testify, they are signaling that they believe they are above the law. Tom Homan's rhetoric about no limitations on authority is a direct rejection of the oath of office. These officials are demonstrating a fundamental lack of understanding of the Constitution they are sworn to uphold. The expert authority stack against these practices includes the federal judiciary, independent government agencies, and civil rights organizations. Judge Maame Awusi Mensah Frimpong ruled that roving immigration patrols were illegal and that the administration was criminally denying citizens access to legal counsel. Judge Terry Doughty labeled the deportation of citizens as unconstitutional. Judge Tana Lynn ordered the government to stand down on actions involving 4 citizen children held in detention for weeks. Judge Shelley Dick issued a temporary restraining order to stop the deportation of Chanthila Suvanarath, identifying his substantial claim to citizenship. The Government Accountability Office, which is the nonpartisan investigative arm of Congress, found that ICE and CBP maintain poor and insufficient records. They found that ICE has systemic defects and loopholes in its training and operations. The Cato Institute, a libertarian organization, confirmed that the administration is committing illegal racial profiling. They called the immigration regime damaging to American interests. The American Civil Liberties Union has filed multiple lawsuits documenting the assault and unlawful detention of citizens. More than a dozen federal prosecutors resigned in protest because the Justice Department leadership refused to open constitutional investigations into the killings in Minneapolis. Institutional accountability is being deliberately blocked. Congressional Democrats have been prevented by the Trump administration from investigating immigration actions affecting U.S. citizens. They have been blocked from passing laws to limit these documented abuses. When 15 elected officials from New York attempted to conduct lawful oversight at a federal building, ICE agents arrested them. These officials were trying to inspect holding cells that courts had already ruled were unsanitary and illegal. The Department of Justice under Pam Bondi has declined to open constitutional investigations into the fatal shootings of citizens by federal agents. They have instead prioritized denaturalization proceedings, aiming for 100 to 200 cases per month. This is a weaponization of the legal system to serve a political agenda. The refusal of the Attorney General to testify before Congress is a direct assault on the principle of legislative oversight. The institutions meant to protect the people are being hollowed out from the inside. The procedural consequences are now moving through the court system. There are active lawsuits seeking money damages for the violation of constitutional rights. There are motions for subpoenas to force officials like Pam Bondi to answer for their actions. The illegal deportation of citizens like Chanthila Suvanarath, which occurred despite a court order to stop it, will lead to further legal challenges for the agents involved. Cities and states are taking their own procedural steps to protect their residents. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison has filed suit to halt ICE deployments in his state. The Los Angeles School District has activated a safe passage plan and requested no enforcement zones around schools to protect its students from federal agents. A growing number of sanctuary cities and states are passing ordinances to prohibit law enforcement collaboration with ICE. These are the deliberate moves of a system trying to correct its own failures. There is no hope or hype here. There is only the steady process of legal accountability. The evidence is on the record. The law is written. The accountability is coming.
I'd like to know the date she's coming. When is she coming?
When is she coming?
When is she coming? By the way, do you know Pam Bondi has not come in front of this committee? Do you know she's the only secretary to not appear in front of a committee yet? When is she coming? What's the date on the calendar that she's coming? You know what? Let's make it easy. I want to make a motion to subpoena Pam Bondi
Second.
to this committee.
Third, fourth, fifth.
How much are we going to...
The gentleman is not recognized for that motion. However, the chair will advise as to the Attorney General coming for